Welcome back, everybody. Once again, if you're watching this on YouTube, well, first off, thank you for watching this on YouTube. Second off, check out my website here, www.danceofthecosmos.com. Again, my name is Dan Hendricks. So now, let's continue our series of investigating and understanding the nature of the Grahas. This is part 4.5 of the Grahas. If you paid attention and you've been looking at, and I've gone over this over and over and over again about the natural order of the Grahas, knowing that it's 4.5, we're in the fifth section. The fifth section deals with the planet Jupiter. And so again, in this section 4, we're dealing with each of the planets' descriptions given in Brihat Parasara Hora Sastra. It's under the section called Planetary Description, where it talks about Jupiter. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at Jupiter. All right, so with Jupiter, here's what we're going to be looking at today, but here's what we looked at in video 1. Gentle, masculine, he's like the advisor, he's the minister. In the second video, we talked about Jupiter being sattvic, seeing things in all directions, being a biped, which had to do with being a minister. First house east, which is its directional strength, meaning that's kind of where it's about making things better for our path in life, about our self-wisdom and things like that nature. And when we say self-wisdom, it's because Jupiter is all-knowing. And since we're talking about all-knowing, let's just jump right into it. Jupiter is said to, by Parashara, to be an intelligent planet. Well, we already talked about Jupiter being all-knowing, and this is how we know that this really here is going to describe Jupiter's intelligence a lot, or the intelligence that Jupiter gives us. Because we see here that Jupiter is intelligent, he's all-knowing, and he's proficient in all Shastras. And what are Shastras? Well, Shastras, like Brihat Parasara Hora Sastra, Shastras are teachings, basically. So proficient in all Shastras is a way of saying that Jupiter represents, not only does Jupiter represent our wisdom and our intelligence, but Jupiter is knowledgeable in this is why it is said, I was going to kind of shift this a little bit. This is why when we talk about the Karaka ships of Jupiter, we say that Jupiter is related to our philosophies. Jupiter is related to our wisdom. Jupiter is related to our understanding. Jupiter is related to religions. Because the thing about religions, the thing about philosophies, Jupiter, another Karka, is concepts, ideals, beliefs. So that really what a Shastra is, the idea of a Shastra, it's something that contains a whole body of knowledge. So if you're proficient in all Shastras, this means that not only are you all-knowing, not only are you intelligent, what it means is that you're intelligent in a whole body of knowledge. Like you're not just like Mercury represents the intelligence of discrimination, of being able to, Mercury might be proficient in, he might understand each of the shlokas individually, or each of the sutras that are comprising a Shastra. And he's like the ability to be able to dissect and understand all of what is in all of the individual sutras, and the ability to kind of like be able to get in there and open each sutra up to give all the information that it's related to it. Whereas Jupiter is about being able to embody all of that information, being able to take it all in. And where you can talk to somebody with a strong Jupiterian intelligence is somebody that really sees that bigger picture, that really understands the whole concept, that understands the whole idea of what is going on. Not just about not able to just see what each little nuance, each little subtlety is and be able to explain that, but to be able to understand what the big picture is. The Jupiter is like the overarching idea of what we're doing and why we're doing it and how it all ties in together, because there's a whole big section of knowledge that Jupiter represents. Jupiter understands the whole, for example, if Jupiter were because Jupiter is, so here we have the word minister. So if Jupiter were like a Christian minister or like a priest, it's not that he would sit there and like have like 3 individual Bible hymns that he would know of, Jupiter would be coming from the idea of understanding everything the Bible is there to teach us. Knowing all of the individual parts, but seeing how it fits into a whole and understanding that whole knowledge. So that's one of the things about Jupiter. And when we talk about the whole knowledge and everything, well, that's because Jupiter is said to have a big body or represent a big body. So Jupiter's wanting to make everything great. Jupiter is the planet of growth and the planet of abundance. So the idea of big body, on one way of looking at the idea of big body, is that Jupiter is about that. It's about creating more, about making something big, making something full, making it as big as it possibly can. Because Jupiter is a very gentle planet, like here, but Jupiter is also a planet of charity. Jupiter is a very giving planet. And so he wants to, everything that Jupiter's funneling his energy into is to make something as great as it possibly can. And when we understand, when we start exploring planetary relationships, and especially when we get into the Logitati of Ashtas, we'll really understand what it means with this idea of Jupiter being giving, because Jupiter is not an enemy to any planet. So Jupiter, being that he's not an enemy to any planet, and on the same hand, any planet that Jupiter is conjunct, Jupiter is going to help, because he's trying to help grow that. That's the idea. That's one idea of big body. Another idea of big body, when we're talking about Jupiter, is literally creating a big body. So if Jupiter's placed in your ascendant, Jupiter is strongly aspecting your first house, the planet that rules your first house, or something of that nature. Jupiter is really prominent in your chart. That might make you a bigger bodied person. It might make you taller. It might make you fuller size. And since we're talking about the physical body, what we can also see is that Jupiter represents the Kapha dosha. The Kapha dosha is the combination of the earth and the water elements. So we know that with the combination of water and earth elements, there is a potential to Jupiter can be known. If you know anything about the Ayurvedic doshas of Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, a Kapha person is somebody who basically is a little bit more heavy set, or maybe someone who's just more full, because it involves the water and the earth elements, which are the two grosser elements. So depending on how Jupiter is placed in your chart, if it is strongly affecting what is your body, basically. If Jupiter has a lot of strongly affecting areas of your body, then Jupiter, as being Kapha, can either make you very tall, it can make you very big, but it can also make you, depending on how Jupiter is situated in the chart, if Jupiter is being hurt by enemies and maybe he's in a bad dignity, a bad planetary dignity, then possibly what Jupiter will bring about is obesity, because that is one of the things about Kapha, because it involves the more gross elements of earth and water. And so that can make somebody a little bit more heavy. Jupiter doesn't always make somebody, Kapha doesn't always indicate someone who is obese. It's not just obesity. Just like big body doesn't necessarily mean like obese or fat, but it can make something bigger, but it can indicate that. And I would think that that would be when Jupiter is harmed or afflicted or placed in a lower planetary dignity, then that is definitely a possibility. Now let's get back here into this idea of Kapha. Kapha, so let's talk about the internal, like the characteristics of Kapha. Kapha can make somebody that is, if you have a Kapha personality is someone who's more calm, someone who's more grounded, more down to earth in reality. And it's also related to the water element, so it can make somebody that's more loving, someone who finds it easier to find contentment. So that's kind of the positive sides of Kapha. And then some of the negative qualities of Kapha is somebody that can be a little bit too stuck. They can be a little bit too much earth element in them. And it could mean someone that is more of a procrastinator, someone who's a little bit more dull, a little bit more lethargic, sleepy, someone who doesn't want to do things, because it's like, it's the Kapha can be a little bit prone to inertia. So that's kind of some of the ideas of what Jupiter can represent there. And then finally, what we're going to see here is tawny hair and tawny eyes. The first thing I want to show you about this is when we talk about hair and we talk about eyes, perhaps this is literal because tawny is related to the tan color, the color tan, which is like a yellowish brown or a brownish yellow, depending on how you want to look at that. And so what's different about Jupiter than the other planets is that, for example, we looked at the sun. The sun was honey yellow colored eyes and is of little hair. When we talk about Venus, we will see that Venus has curly hair, and I believe Venus is auspiciously eyed. It'll be the next video we do, so we'll see. But anyways, the point is, a lot of these other planets, what you're going to see is the hair and the eyes are different. With Jupiter, it's tawny hair, it's tawny eyes. So what I interpret this to mean is that Jupiter, the way he sees the world and the way that he goes about, because we talked about with hair, we talk about with the sun, because it says with the sun, it says of little hair. So we know that hair is kind of like an unimportant thing, like a little smaller minutia detail. What we see here as far as Jupiter, with tawny eyes, how he sees the world is the same way he's going to go about dealing with things. That is one way to look at it, because if we talk about tawny hair, it's kind of like what I assume this to mean with Jupiter is like he sees the world, and the way that he goes about acting in the world is very much in coordination with how he sees it to be. He sees the world one way and he deals with the world in that way, because Jupiter is an intelligent planet. So I kind of take this to mean like kind of seeing everything as it is and dealing with it appropriately. So, and dealing with it, and then what is that appropriateness? Well, that's a very gentle nature. It's a very sattvic nature, you know, and then it's proficient in all shastra. So it's a very wise, seeing the wisdom of the world and seeing why we're supposed to do things and knowing that there's a reason behind where we are and what we're supposed to do. But also Jupiter gives us the ability to also act within that world, seeing that we are a part and parcel of that same world. The same way that he sees it is the same way that he is viewed in that world. So it's kind of an interesting idea. It's something that I've kind of arrived at myself when I was going over these qualities of, geez, what's tawny hair? What's tawny eyes? And what I realized is that he's the only planet where the hair and the eyes are the same adjective is used, the same description and characteristic. So that's my understanding of it. If you have a different understanding of it, feel free to leave it in the comment section below on this page. And other than that, we're going to get on to Venus in the next video. And thank you for watching, and namaste.